as I'm building my nut-free protein bar company, Mick's Got No Nuts, from scratch, from the ground up, I'm starting to quickly realize the importance of networking, mentorship, and coaching and connections. I'm kind of a lone wolf by nature. I like to kind of do things that others typically don't do. I've done that kind of my whole life. I'm the guy at work or at school who's going to go sit by themselves because I have an innate belief that if I just focus on my own stuff, I can win faster and win essentially better. Well, I don't think that is the right lesson to take away from my first 24 years of life going into the business world, because in the last week and a half, it's becoming clear that I need a lot of help and connections that I would not have able to find or get without it. So a couple days ago, for context, I played basketball growing up. I'm very tall. I'm 6'7". I had a personal basketball coach for about 10 years, and his son, now this is an older guy, he's in his 70s now, but his son, who's 40 or 50 years old now, started a company. I won't say who or what it is just for disclosure purposes, but he started a company that started off very strong and didn't really go so well. It's not in really business anymore. They also had a consumer packaged goods product. And hearing his story, it was very revealing on the steps that I need to take and the mistakes I need to avoid. Now, the big difference between me and this guy I was talking to, he formed a great company, a great product, but the biggest difference was that he was not in it for the entrepreneurial nature of doing business, right? He did not actually go full time. He always had his job. He just did this on the side. My deep down belief is that if he would have focused on this 100%, he could have turned this company, again, a food company, to $500 million. I mean, it had so much leverage, so many celebrities endorsing it, that it was kind of almost a miss that he didn't just commit full time. I think that was kind of mistake difference number one between me and him. But valuable lessons I learned, and just steps I maybe would have learned originally anyway. Um, it kind of shone the light a little clearer on what I need to do next. So he was telling me that he always made his product. He made his product initially just in his kitchen. He gave it to friends around him, and they encouraged him to build a business around it. But he kind of had a recipe already in his kitchen for his product. And then he started forming the business. And then when he went from his kitchen, which he spent hours, tinkering the recipe, he never even wrote down the recipe. He told me he just would kind of eyeball it every time. And then the process from going into his kitchen, kind of informally making it, to mass production, that was a big hurdle for him because A, he had to find a facility to conduct the manufacturing. B, he had to actually finalize a recipe. And then C, he stated that the recipe and the taste and the consistency of the product did change going to the facility, the co-packer, the contract packaging facility, the co-packer. And that actually gave me a little bit of relief because I'm in my kitchen trying to make this protein bar, and I just don't have the means or the technology, almost, might be a fancy word, but the technology to make this protein bar. So for example, I could make the filling for the protein bar, the source of the protein, pretty well. I can do it relatively repeatably. But the tough part is coating the filling in chocolate. It is really difficult, more difficult than I would have thought. So what he told me was, don't worry about getting it 100% perfect in your kitchen. Just have a general idea of the recipe in your head so that when you do move to a facility, you'll be able to work with a food scientist who can finalize the recipe, help make it shelf stable, and finalize the quirks of the recipe. And then the manufacturer will then help to obviously make the bar, and they'll have an easy way to say coat the chocolate, for example, on the bar. And so that was a bit relieving for me, knowing that I don't have to get it perfect in my own kitchen. And then I plan to take pre-orders for my protein bar. And the guy I was talking to, now at least he said it's pretty easy to get your recipe and your product into a facility, that's not really that hard, which is surprising because I actually thought that would have been the hardest part, but he said that was not that hard at all. And then he said that in his experience, was able to get samples of the product before mass distribution. And I think he said he got about 1,000 samples that he sent to friends and family just to ensure that it tastes good. And then of course, modifications may have been made a little bit, but this was really good to hear that I can have an idea, right? My nut-free protein bar idea, work with a food scientist, and then hire a co-packer, nut-free co-packer, that's very important. And they will help me essentially finalize the product. And while I haven't gotten to that stage yet, that's what he said happened to him. And so that was very reassuring to me. So not only did I have that conversation, um, that was all fine and dandy, right? It was actually good to know that I should get a food scientist, look into nut-free manufacturing facilities, which I knew I had to do anyway, but I could do it sooner than I thought and not just, the initial year of cooking would just be in my kitchen. Like, no, I can actually hire a facility. But now the next question would be, oh, and then also real fast, he did say that he worked with a branding company, a marketing company to help design everything, which is nice because, I'm kind of artsy, but not really. I have other people around me much, much more artsy, but it would be nice to hire someone who has a good idea on how to package, you know, this logo, this Mick's Got No Nuts logo. I really like it. But if it needs to be changed for the better, I'm more than willing to change it. I just have to reorder new hats, right? Um, so anyway, so there's a lot of people that I need to work with, and the idea of lone wolfing it is just not feasible anymore. And that relationship, while I knew it deep down, now I kind of have to walk the talk. I have to put it in practice. And so I ended up finding a community of people under the guy I've been referencing a bunch, Ryan Daniel Moran, founder of capitalism.com. He essentially helps entrepreneurs who are kind of at a similar stage to me. He focuses really on the 0 to maybe like $500,000 to $1 million in revenue. Just helps, right? And, and so I applied to be part of their networking connections, guidance, resources, right? It's definitely a good value. Now, it was a little pricey and I had to go through an interview process. I actually had the interview last Friday, so 5 days, 4 days ago. And I talked with a guy for about an hour, just explaining my idea, why I'm interested in it, and really get into the meat and potatoes of Mick, his passion, his journey, what success looks like, why I want to be a part of it. And funny because his very last question, great guy, his very last question was, if you were me, why would I invite you to this group? And I said, well, here's the deal. I was pretty blunt. I'm giggling because I'm pretty proud of my answer. I said, look, I'm going to get there eventually. They're being successful. Um, I think it would be a mistake by you guys not to include me in this. You might save me a few months of effort and time and searching for the answer. So you guys would help. Um, but I don't need you. I would like your help, but I don't need you. So you guys need to make the decision whether or not you want to get on board with a 24-year-old entrepreneur at heart who wants to build this into a 9-figure business. Um, I was kind of arrogant, but I think he really liked the answer. He said I was welcome to the group. And so now I have onboarding this week. It's not school per se, but it's just a group of people who are in a similar boat as me. They're trying to sell their product. They're trying to launch their product from 0 to 100 sales a day. That's what the group kind of preaches. Just get to 100 sales a day at a $30 price point, and that's $1 million business. It's kind of like, and on paper, it seems pretty easy. And I think with the right people around me, right people, helping me, I could do it. It will save me a lot of time figuring out, where to go, who to talk to, if they have connections to. I think they do. Manufacturing facilities, food scientists, marketing agencies, marketing companies, packaging companies. There's a price tag, obviously, but it is going to be worth it. I know it will be. So it's been a big kind of like mentorship week for me, talking to my basketball coach's son about his company and then getting into this group, which will be, I believe, very beneficial and worth it when hopefully in a year by now, I am running $1 million business. I don't have my 9 to 5 job. I feel bad. I can't even focus on my job right now. Hopefully they're not seeing this. I can't even focus on my job because I just want to do this so much. But the current stage of my business right now, I've been kind of rambling, is I have about 160 people on my email list. I continue to post in Facebook groups and whatnot. Now, I did try to go on Reddit and post the same sort of thing, but I think Reddit saw me as spam and immediately blocked me. So I can't post anymore, unfortunately, which is too bad because I posted it in a nut allergy group on Reddit. And within 10 minutes, I got probably like 5 to 8 really positive comments, 3 to 5 email signups, like really fast. And then Reddit saw me as spam and took the post down, and I can't even post again. So maybe I have to go under the guise of someone else and be less spammy. I didn't think I was that spammy. I just put a link to my website, but maybe that is spammy. I don't know. I'm not really a Reddit guy, so maybe you could tell me something different. So 160 people on my email list. I'm feeling pretty confident on the general recipe of the protein bar. There are some quirks, but like I said before, I think I'm at a point where I'm going to need external help, i.e. a food scientist, to kind of go from like 90 to 100. And then of course, coating the chocolate is tough in the kitchen, but should be easy in the facility. So the filling is kind of what I want to talk to the food scientist about primarily. I feel pretty confident in it right now. We can talk about flavors or whatnot in the future, but I need that food scientist to help me go from 90 to 100. And then we start testing. I don't know if the tests I want to send out, now I'm planning for launch around July, which late April. It's maybe a little ambitious. I got about 2.5 months before that date comes, but I think a lot of progress can be made during that time. But we'll see what we get a mentor in this 1% group. So I'll be talking to him quite a bit, and I'm curious whether or not he thinks that I can be able to help get taste testers from the product that I make in my kitchen or the product that I make in the facility. And this might also be in collaboration with the food scientist. Let's just say the food scientist comes to me with a refined recipe that I'm happy with. It's relatively lean, not relatively moderate calorie count. I like that 10 calorie to 1 gram of protein ratio. I would like to avoid additives, preservatives as much as possible. I don't really need the shelf lives to be like 2 years. Like if it's just like 3 months, 2 to 3 months, I think that would be good enough. I think that trade-off would be beneficial where I can avoid additives and preservatives and all the bunch of stuff that you see in other bars that make it last longer. I think it'd be okay to keep it a little leaner. So even though the shelf stability is a little smaller, because my audience will be primarily people with nut allergies, right? Well, people with nut allergies are probably the ones who are going to be paying the most attention, are probably going to be young kids, teenager-esque age, where their parents are still buying them snacks. So actually, even though my avatar might be the young kid from like maybe 3 to 18, maybe you can probably narrow it down to maybe like 3 to 12, 3 to 13. It's the parents, especially moms, who are going to be buying the bar. And the moms typically are more sensitive to the ingredient list because I've had a lot of people on Facebook recommend, know this, know this, know this. There's a lot of, crappy stuff in these sort of bars. And so I might need to read my audience a little bit and just avoid maybe unnecessary ingredients in the bar. Now there were some suggestions that they made, no dairy, no soy, no egg, which is all fine and dandy. But this is a primarily nut-free protein bar, and my objective is not to thumbs up. My objective is not to cater to every single allergy as much as I'd like to accommodate everyone. It has to be focused on the nut free. That is the brand. It's Mick's Got No Nuts, not Mick's Got No top allergens. You know what I mean? So there has to be a focus there, but I can understand why, parents don't want high fructose corn syrup in their kids' snacks. They don't want aspartame in their kids' snacks. Like I get that. I kind of want to avoid that too. And if I need to sacrifice shelf life a little bit to do it, I think that will be worth it. So we'll see what the food scientist says in terms of, is it possible to make it in my kitchen, or to get to the final version of the recipe, we have to be in a facility. We'll see there, but I talked to a mentor. I talked to someone who's been in the shoes that I'm currently filling, building their own company, selling it for millions of dollars. Hopefully they have some good guidance for me. I don't know if it's a man or a woman quite yet. So besides being at this state where I kind of need external help for the recipe, I'm just kind of continuing to build my email list. I would like to start pre-orders within the next 2 to 4 weeks. We'll see what this group says and recommends to me. I still am aiming for launch to be in July. I also have a friend from high school who reached out to me, is helping me with social media. Right now, I have 3 primary social medias: Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It's not very easy to reach out to people on YouTube, so that's just more for obviously video content. But Facebook and Instagram, he's kind of taken the Mick's Got No Nuts Instagram page and reaching out to people, allergy influencers, which are a thing, nut allergy influencers. Just DMing them primarily just to see if there could be future partnership, maybe get them on the email list. And then me on Facebook, I've been posting to these Facebook groups, DMing individuals who've engaged with it, just asking to, I appreciate the engagement on the post. Can you, be signed up for my email list if you haven't already? So I appreciate his help. Of course, I'm paying him just part-time, but just he's saving me a lot of time, and he knows a good amount about that stuff. Honestly, if I could avoid social media at all, that might be ideal. But I know it's a core necessity of business, so I'm going to do it. And why not just ask for help, just to get people aware of my idea, put them on an email list, and hopefully when I have enough people, which I have 160, that's not nothing. When I launch, get pre-orders ready, and then when launch comes, primarily the people from the email list will be the ones ordering. So in this group, they boast a lot about, when your launch comes, might get between 5 and 20,000 in sales, but then you might expect a crash, and that's where the real business begins. And I'm expecting that. Hopefully, I think I can get about $5,000 in sales, and pre-order sales. I'm pretty confident in that. But then after launch day occurs, all the orders go out, and it's then what do you do when it goes down, and you have to kind of creep back up to where you were. But that's another video. So anyway, big week for just talking to people and realizing that I need people in my corner, not necessarily to work for me, but people just helping me out, offering guidance, mentorship, connections, networks. So anyway, that's about it. So if you're not on the email list for Mick's Got No Nuts, you should be. Just go to micksgotnonuts.com, scroll down just a hair, and you'll see the form to sign up for the email list. I also have merch available. This hat's available, and then my Mick's Got No Nuts shirt, which I wore last episode, is also available. You can technically pre-order right now. I haven't really officially announced it, but it is available if you would like to. I've already gotten a pre-order from someone I didn't even ask for a pre-order, which was cool. And then if you feel so inclined to donate, you can donate on the website as well. Again, micksgotnonuts.com. I've had a few people reach out about investing. I don't have a means for investments quite yet, but I do know who you are, and I will get back to you on that, because obviously I love investments, but I can't give up 20% of my company right now for $200. So, all right, that's all I have. Talk to you soon.